Easter egg with clock, decorated with diamonds, sapphires, and rose-cut diamonds. It's 2008, and this description is bothering Annemiek Wintrekking. It's from the invoice for a Fabergé egg gifted to Empress Maria Fyodorovna of Russia in 1887. Wintrekking is considering this description because a Fabergé egg known as the Blue Serpent clock egg is being displayed in America for the first time. This is the egg from that 1887 invoice, they say, one of the earliest in a line of near mythical objects that have come to represent the height of opulence. It's just, she can't help but notice, the Blue Serpent clock egg doesn't contain any sapphires. It's 1885 and Tsar Alexander III commissions jeweler Peter Carl Fabergé to craft an Easter egg for his wife Maria. The jeweler delivers an oversized egg that opens to reveal golden yolk that itself contains a golden hen that contains a miniature replica of the crown jewels. Maria loves it, and Tsar Alexander, knowing a good thing when he sees it, tells Fabergé he wants an egg delivered every Easter going forward. In time, Fabergé creates over 50 eggs for the Russian royal family, the final ones created in 1917 when revolution in Russia leads to the flight of the Fabergé family and the confiscation of the vast majority of the eggs. Finely made jewelry has no place in a country now defined by the proletariat. These icons of a suddenly culturally distant era are eventually seen by Stalin as a means of generating cash for a country in desperate need of it. In 1927, those which can be found are sold, and so these works of art which once belonged to a single bloodline scatter to all corners of the globe. Time passes, revolution recedes, empires fall. In time, scholarship develops around the eggs. Historians and academics seek to locate and catalog the full collection. They have original invoices, inventory records from when they were seized, and in best case scenarios, paper trails from auction houses. They also have pictures from 1902 when most of the then existing eggs were displayed for the public in St. Petersburg. By the 2000s, these resources had allowed for a fairly thorough accounting of the eggs, but there are gaps, including the 1896 egg, except that's not the way Wintrekking sees it, because here's the thing. The invoice description of the 1895 egg is blue enamel egg, Louis XVI style. This space is currently occupied by this egg, but as she argues, this egg is not Louis XVI style. What is a blue egg in Louis XVI style? The Blue Serpent egg clock. It has been slotted into the 1887 space because it was a clock, so even in the absence of sapphires, it seems an obvious fit. But maybe its timekeeping had been a red herring. Where then could the prior 1895 egg go? It was not a clock, so it could not fill the new gap in 1887, but maybe they could push it up a year. The missing 1896 egg was described as blue enamel egg, 6 portraits of Emperor Alexander III with 10 sapphires, rose-cut diamonds, and mounting. The big thing missing was the portraits, but if they were assumed to be internal like the tiny crown jewels from the original egg, then they could likewise have been lost. In Wintrekking's theory, the 1896 egg had been found, while the 1887 egg had been lost. But not exactly. Wintrekking had been looking at a photograph from that 1902 exhibition. She noticed something that looked like an egg in one of the cases with no known attribution. what about that? That's the 1887, she theorized. A bittersweet theory, because whatever that was, it hadn't been seen since. Placed properly in time, but almost certainly lost to it as well. 4 years earlier, in 2004, an anonymous man in the American Midwest is haggling over a clock that sits in a large golden casing. He doesn't need a timepiece. He's developed a side hustle of buying and scrapping precious metals, and this seems like something he can flip for a profit. He pays nearly $14,000. Based on the gold weight of the object, he's overpaying, but he thinks that he'll be able to make up the difference from diamond and sapphire inlays. It's 2011, and Wintraken's theory is suddenly no longer just a theory. Even better, it's been validated by a sighting of the 1887 egg. Still, no one has any idea about the egg's present whereabouts, but they know where it was in 1964. It was in New York at Park Bernay Auction House, described as gold watch in egg form case on wrought 3-tone gold stand. There is no mention of its Russian heritage, and accordingly it sells for just $2,450. But there's a picture. Indisputably, the egg in the auction is the unknown egg from the 1902 exhibition, and also, knowing that it contains a watch, it matches the 1887 invoice. Where was it? No one knew, but now, most of the lost Fabergé eggs were last seen in the 1922 inventory from the Kremlin. They were assumed stolen and melted or destroyed, or simply lost forever in the political and economic upheaval. They were nowhere. The 1887 egg made it through that great filter. Odds were, it was somewhere. Roy Anika of the Telegraph newspaper catches wind of this development and pens an article with the title, "Is this 20 million pound nest egg on your mantelpiece?" She describes the piece as gold and gem-studded. It is decorated with diamond-encrusted ribbons of leaves and roses and 3 large sapphires. It contains a gold watch by the Swiss watchmaker Vacheron and Constantine. She speculates that the egg is somewhere in the United Kingdom. It's 2012, and the scrap dealer is frustrated. He's had $14,000 tied up in the clock for 8 years because he's been unable to find a buyer who will give him a fair price. An economics professor would say he's suffering from the sunk cost fallacy. He'd have been better off cutting his losses and taking what he could get for it. His friends would just say he's stubborn. Exasperated, he goes to Google and types in egg and Vacheron and Constantine, which it says on the back of the clock. Maybe he'd done so before, but now something new pops up. It talks about Russian royalty and revolution and how someone in the UK might have a 20 million pound egg sitting on their mantle. They don't, though. There's a photo. He sees the egg that's been sitting in his house for the last 8 years. The man sells the egg for an undisclosed sum. Millions, likely tens of millions, certainly more than $14,000. There are now 7 lost Fabergé imperial eggs. 6 have not been accounted for since the 1920s, but that still leaves one. The 1887 Nécessaire egg was last seen at an auction in 1952. The records report a sale for £1,250 and the purchaser simply as a stranger. Good luck. Thanks for watching, guys.